make anything work on my end.
Well, I think you have to accept the invite. You should got an invite to be an admin.
Oh, I did not see that. Maybe it
Yeah, I
turned up.
think it's probably in your junk folder.
Yeah, just go and check in my junk folder because
Yeah.
that'll be how that works. Because of course it does.
Yeah. So I am driving now, so I won't be able to do too much. But if you can get admin access, and just in case you to, but I think we're live now, right?
Yes, we are.
There it is.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Yay.
Yeah. So we were actually supposed to have someone, a guest, come on, who wanted to, uh, who took exception to me, my challenge or belief thing. So his idea was that I should just challenge my belief no matter what. So even with people who agree with me, I should challenge my belief. So the idea, and this comes up all the time on Twitter because of my handle, where they say, "Oh, you should challenge your belief," but they offer nothing to actually challenge my belief.
Just
And
yeah. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
Not to say, basically, just say do nothing else but just challenge you. Nothing else.
What?
Yeah.
I accepted the invite. I'm just going to bounce back out and then jump back in and see if that works now.
Okay. Yeah, you should be able to put yourself on stage if you're an admin. So that'd be a good test. Yeah. So, but I said that I may not be able to make it because of a family emergency. So he basically wanted to just maybe wait until next time.
That's fine. I mean, you can only do what you can do.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't. Yeah. So yeah. Unfortunately, with what's happening at home, I couldn't. I didn't really get a chance to set anything up. But I mean, I'll say a little bit about what's going on because I think it might be kind of interesting. Oh, Largo, were you able to get back on?
I just set my yes. I just invited
Okay.
myself on. So nice. So yes, and
Okay.
now I can see all the people. So it looks like it's working.
Okay. Yeah. So if anyone needs to be brought on stage or whatever, you can do that.
Yeah, I'll have that ability there now because I can see Steve-O and all the others there, and I have the button that says remove. More.
Oh God! Oh Lord, we're screwed.
All hail Blurg. All hail Blurg.
Do not mess with me. I'm a good boy.
Really quickly, did you hear about the guy who was killed by his hat?
What?
The guy was killed by his hat.
How?
Decapitate him.
Oh, I walked into that one.
So
Come back, John.
speaking of bad jokes, John Clark said he had to take sort of a mental day, so he won't be able to join us. I'm not sure what's going on with Luke. I haven't heard back from him. But yeah, Blarg, I don't know how much of it you heard, but basically, I didn't really have anything prepared with some of the things that has been going on. But I thought I'll kind of share what's been going on, just so kind of get your input on it as well. But I mean, basically, my dad's going through dementia, and it's gotten pretty bad, where he's accusing my mom of having an affair, and also and even that she's having an affair with her grandson. So my nephew. So just really horrible things. And
unfortunately, those delusions. I have a fair bit of experience with it. I've got an auntie who has dementia, and my father also had, but he had a different type of dementia that didn't come with delusions. So he had vascular dementia, which was quite different in presentation to Alzheimer's. But yeah, my auntie is convinced that someone comes into her house every night and tried to murder her, and the police came, and you cannot talk them out of those delusions. It just doesn't. They're as real to the person as the reality, and it's a shame.
Yeah, so he's like begging me to believe him because from his point of view, it is so real. I mean,
It
like
is real,
from his
yeah.
point of view, he has 100% proof that that's what's happening. But yeah, you can't reason with him, and we're trying to put him in a home, but it just kind of became really bad within the last few days, and so that's where I had to. So my sisters were kind of not taking care of him, but were having him at. So the older of the two, they're both younger. They're he had both my mom and she had my mom and my dad over there, and it's just like it's got to the point where they pretty much have to put him in a home, and so they're trying to arrange that, but it kind of happened like on Friday, where it just kind of got so bad, and like we have to get a psychiatric diagnosis, and you can't get a hold of anyone over the weekend, so we're trying to get sort of like emergency diagnosis enough to have him put into a home. But yeah, we kind of feel that he's a danger to himself and to others, and so that's where they asked me to come and watch him, and I'm actually going to work remote at my sister's place while they kind of get all that figured out.
Yeah.
But it's it's just really tough just kind of listening to that type of delusion, and when he kind of breaks down, and and he's talking about essentially killing himself and saying how things will all be better, and if he's not there, and he's like both like saying that we're bad people, me and my sisters, and also like asking us for forgiveness for kind of going through this. So I don't know. I can't tell whether he's actually like there's like a moment of lucidity where he realizes that he's just being completely delusional, or whether it's just kind of a way to try to get us to believe it. So it's really hard to tell.
Oh man, I mean that's rough. That is, I don't know what to say to
Yeah.
that, man.
It's exactly the same sort of thing that I remember I was talking last year. I went up and spent a month living at my auntie's place to help out her two daughters because they were just struggling with her. The same thing. Like she was convinced there was a person 2 doors up who had killed his wife, and that the woman was having an affair, and the guy found out and had killed his wife and shot her and the poor children. And then she looks out the bathroom window and sees the family playing in the backyard, and she's like, "Oh, someone must have lied to me about that." And then she'll walk back in and say, "Oh, those poor children, what happened to their mum?" It just, you can't make it, you can't argue about it. It just won't go away because it's so believable. I nearly lost my head until I sort of realized that all I was doing in trying to change the delusion was making her angry and making me angry.
We lost Blog's voice.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you
Yeah,
now.
it was just making her angry. Yeah. It's kind of horrible. So yeah, she's now in a home, and she is doing great.
Well, that's good
In
to hear on
there.
that at least.
yeah, she's happier than she's been in years. Weirdly, she's got people around her, and she's not lonely, and because she was living by herself since her husband died 9 years ago.
Yeah, and that's probably what fueled the delusions just as much as anything else.
Yeah, and the people there are really good at just ignoring the delusion. They're like, "Oh well, we'll talk about that later. Come and have a bath," and just change the topic.
Yeah.
So that's the best I can offer for you, QC, is to, just don't try and argue away the delusion, because it's impossible. Just change the topic and move on to something else.
Yeah, and I made a mistake initially the first time to just, try to, reason with him, just to, tell him, hey, that's something that's just preposterous, and you can't think something like that is true. And yeah, it obviously didn't work. So, I mean, when you hear that, right, you just have this urge, in a certain way. And I hope this doesn't come out really badly, but it's kind of like listening to someone like a Christian or creationist trying to, claim that their belief is correct, right? That there was this global flood and that a donkey can talk. And the immediate response is for you to think that is so preposterous. I'm going to try to reason with you to try to convince you that's not the case, but there is no reasoning.
No. Yeah, it's tough. The only good thing I can say about dementia is that at a certain point, and with good care, the people that going through it seem to, at least the ones in my experience, seem to do reasonably well. They don't seem to suffer that much compared to the people around them. So it's not like, for example, what you call ALS, what we call MND in Australia, where the person suffers the whole way. In this case, the person doesn't seem to suffer too much. They can enjoy their day, and then they can come and have another day exactly the same the next day and enjoy that as well. So, yeah,
I think right now he's under distress.
Yes, yeah, that early stage, is distressing.
Yeah, because he's like thinking everyone around me won't believe me, even though I'm definitely right, and he kind of like, I mean, that's where he has kind of crying fits, just because I think just that state is in, is distressing, and part of it is like because he and my mom recently kind of moved in with my sister, just kind of at an interim, and I think that just kind of disrupted his routine and his environment, and I think that just made it worse. But I think if he can, once he gets into a home and he has more of a kind of a steady, predictable environment and a routine, then I think it'll get to that. Hopefully, it'll get to that stage where they're not suffering, and it might actually be like a good situation to be in.
Yeah, maybe being out away from what he's familiar with will actually help him, because then it could put him into another state of mind that'll help him focus better a little bit, if anything else. I mean, I never had to deal with this, so I never had anybody in my family who suffered dementia to that degree anyway. So I have nothing to say about it really, other than just put my 2 cents in on what I'm hearing.
Hey, Lark, it's like I'm driving, so I can't see all this, but something popped up about Tilting being on stage.
No, I popped his
okay, got it.
his quote up. So he said, "My dad's on Aricept. It helps slow the progression of his presumed Lewy body dementia a little." So
yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, he probably should have gone to like some psychiatric evaluation way before, when his kind of it just seemed like his dementia kind of like slowly started. And my mom had said, he just seems to be having some dementia, but we, when we see him, he seems okay. So it didn't seem like anything worrying. But I'm just wondering if, like, if we could have had sent him to a psychiatrist and get him on some medication, maybe it would have helped. I don't know, for this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's all you can hope for. Really.
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of medications that help very much at all. My auntie had a patch that she was on, and I can't remember what it was called, but its effect, maybe there was something. It was, but it's just basically impossible to really tell whether she got much out of it or not. But yeah, it doesn't much seem to affect it once it sort of gets started.
Yeah, I think the only way it would have kind of helped us was in terms of like getting him into a home sooner, if we kind of had a diagnosis to begin with. But now we're kind of struggling to get him diagnosed.
Yeah, that is a difficulty. In Australia, we, and I don't know how it is in America, we have specialists for this called gerontologists, who specialise just in old people generally, but it's the gerontologists that who basically give that diagnosis. That they also are the ones who make the decision whether a person is capable of making decisions for themselves or whether they are, declared not capable anymore. And that was part of what happened while I was staying up there. So I had the month of my experience with her 24/7, and we went and saw the gerontologist. And yeah, she talked about the various bits, but she explained to us what her GP had actually got wrong. So her GP said you can't force her to go into a home while she's able to make decisions, even if those decisions are bad. And you just go, that doesn't seem right. But what the gerontologist said, that's true, but the bit he's missing out of that is that she needs to be also capable of holding the necessary information in her head at the same, and then make an informed decision, even if she makes a terrible decision, but that decision needs to be capable of being informed, and it isn't anymore. So that's when she said, no, she can't make that decision anymore, and we moved to start looking for a place for her to stay. But there was also, there's quite often a precipitating event, and yeah, in the case with your dad, it sounds like you've hit that precipitating event. In her case, she had started wandering out on the road. So she lives next to a highway, and that's a bad thing. So
yeah, so interesting enough, like my brother-in-law, his mom, after her husband passed kind of suddenly of a heart attack, she started getting dementia, and this was actually in UK. So there's just she got to a point where she, I guess, accosted someone, and so she ended up kind of getting sent to jail. Like, I think it was probably geared towards like people with mental problems, but it was apparently like really horrible. So it was like just a horrible experience. But she kind of went through like these multiple events, but my brother-in-law's comment was like, she probably should have been, committed sooner, rather than like just waiting until it blows up into something like this.
Yeah, they're usually holding pens over here. Unfortunately, getting the psych consult is really difficult. I think we've got a few of those gerontologists, but
yeah, they are pretty hard to get a hold of. They are pretty hard to get a hold of here too. The usual wait time is 6 months. So it's, yeah. And like we had been telling her doctor that there was something wrong, and we were pretty sure she had dementia for at least a year or two before that. And then she'd come down to stay with us and had a fall while she was at my place, and sort of tore open the skin on her arm. And anyhow, we took her up to the hospital here, and so she spent an hour or so with the doctor there in the emergency room while he cleaned the wound and sewed it up. And yeah, she told him the same story like 7 times while he's sitting there. And yeah, he put in his doctor's, the process here is the doctor, if it's not the normal GP, will write a letter to explain to the to her normal GP what he did and what happened. And in there, he also made a note saying she really needs a gerontologist consult because of this. And that doctor still refused to do it, and it wasn't until my cousin threatened to take him to the medical board that he finally relented and actually gave her a referral to a gerontologist. It's just appalling.
Wait, so why wouldn't he give that referral to begin with?
No fucking idea. Absolutely no idea. And the fact of the matter is, gerontologists, they understand old people well, and even if you're not a person with dementia, they understand issues that certain drugs have that are specific to older people that aren't necessarily for the general population. General GPs, they're good for general population, but yeah, he immediately sort of looked at her medications and said, okay, well, you definitely got to come off this one, and no more opiates of any kind. And there was some other medication. Said, we'll swap out that one for this other one because it's better tolerated in old people. And yeah, I don't know whether he was just someone stepping on my turf or, yeah, no idea, but it was ridiculous. He's a really old bloke too, and he should well and truly have retired by now as well.
So maybe just like very old-fashioned.
Yeah, might be that he just thinks he knows her. But the problem is he only get to see her for like a 5-minute consult every, maybe twice every other month. You get this 5-minute consult, and she doesn't have time to tell the same story. And when he goes in there, how you doing, Val? Lovely. Everything's great. Oh, that's good. Here's your pills. Here's your thing, on your way. So everything seems fine. It's not until you spend a little bit of time. So, yeah. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does sound like you've kind of reached that precipitating point, doesn't it? That you need to do something with your dad.
Yeah, I don't think there is an option, any other option, because there's no way something like this will get better. It's just going to get worse. And he definitely, like I think I mentioned, he has like suicidal ideation. So yeah, it's not good. But I mean, the good thing is like we're taking my mom out of the situation. She's gonna go with my younger sister, to her place. So they'll be separated. But yeah, I think the big concern is like, like there's some concerns, about that he might do something about, or to my nephew. So, I mean, because he's talked about how, he thinks that they're trying to poison him and, they're trying to get rid of him. So there's just a lot of delusions going on.
Yeah. Buggery.
And you could have the side effects as well. He's going to have a lot more accidents. Because it affects motor control as well.
Yeah, he's very frail right now, so it's not. Yeah.
All you wish
I mean, in a certain sense, it's good that he's frail in that, physically he won't be, it'll be difficult for him to hurt someone, and also, there's no guns around, at least, and
yeah, so
That helps.
that does help.
Well,
Where we go with this?
well, I can always, if we wanted to move on to another topic, I have a personal fun one to have a yak about. So, yeah, since we're on the topic of health, so
okay.
yeah, so in the past 2.5 weeks, I've had 2 MRIs of my head. So, yeah, I didn't get around to talking about it last week. We got busy, but yeah. So to go back about 2-3 years ago, when I work out at the gym, anytime I would do any type of exercise that involved what's called a Valsalva maneuver. So that's where you tense your ab muscles and create like a high pressure internal sort of arrangement in your abdomen. That's what's used to allow you to lift weight. So it's needed for both squat and deadlift.
Yeah.
When I'd get up to about it wasn't even very much, so 60 kilos. So what's that, 145?
We need to know how many stones that is.
Yeah, 9.5, something like that. Yeah, so yeah, I'd get this quite severe headache come on quite quickly after that, within a few minutes. So it kind of just stopped it. And at the time, I had put on a fair bit of weight for various reasons. So I thought, it's probably just got to do with that, and maybe it's, anyway. So time has passed, and I've lost all of that weight that I'd added, and I'm now lighter than I was when the issue started. And I'm like, and it still does it. So anyhow, I said to I went and talked to my doctor about it, and the doctor's like, oh, we probably should do something about that, because as I discovered since by reading, there's in neurology there's an acronym called SNOOP, and if you hit any of the points on that acronym, it should be treated as extremely serious. And P is the pressure induced headache, which is exactly what I was getting. And you're like, right. So anyway, yeah, it can be a sign of all sorts of things, like increased intracranial pressure, reduced intracranial pressure. It could be a tumor or an aneurysm. There's all sorts of things that can cause that sort of thing. So anyhow, I had an MRI, and yes, there was no sign of any of those sort of things, but they did discover that at some point previously, it appears I've had a very, very tiny stroke. There's a little, about the size of a grain of rice, so 3 millimeter. So I've never had any symptoms of anything. So even when it happened, I didn't notice it. So yeah.
Wait, so you had a stroke?
Yes, apparently sometime in the past, and I missed it.
Wait, what? Like how far in the past?
Don't know. It's just there's a bit of scar tissue in there that looks like it's as the radiologist put it, a previous ischemic event.
I see.
So
it was so minor that you didn't even know about it. That's what
I didn't even notice it at the time it happened. So
it's basically a little bit of dead tissue, right? Scar tissue?
A tiny little speck of something about 3 millimeters in diameter.
Huh.
So what's that? 1/8 of an inch?
Yeah. Per bit, approximately.
Yeah. So that's it, about 1/8 of an inch in diameter. So it's tiny. So anyhow, but nothing in that thing explained the headache. So, but what it did do is basically seem to have ruled out the possibility that it was a pressure-related issue. because if it's a pressure-related issue, you get structural changes in the way your brain looks, and they're quite significant.
Yeah.
So it's not that. And you go, all right. So, and no sign of any, what do they call them? No sign of any tumors or anything like that. So, which is good. So anyhow, I had to go back and get another MRI, which is they called an MRA. So it's like an MRI angiogram to have a look at the blood vessels, to check carotid arteries and then all the rest of the blood vessels in the brain to see if there was, for example, some sort of sign of stenosis, or which is a narrowing of an artery, or signs of an artery that isn't showing up that should show up, or
possible blockage.
All those sorts of things, or a like a swelling on the side of one, which would be quite a serious thing. And so I got that one back on Friday, and the radiologist's report was the summary was entirely unremarkable. So is what the description was. So they found exactly nothing of note.
Nice. So, that's good.
So yes, good. So definitely
so they still don't know though, right?
No. But what it seems to have done is ruled out. So apparently there are two types of headaches that you can get. You can get primary headaches and secondary headaches. So a primary headache is a headache that is like a migraine. It's a headache that the headache is the problem. Yeah. And then there is what are called secondary headaches, where there's something else that causes the headache. So, for example, if you had a tumor, a headache secondary to the tumor, for example. So, so what they were really trying to do is rule out all of the secondary causes.
Yeah.
And so I'm yet to be able to get in to see the neurologist. So we don't even have one in my city, which is not as helpful as it could be.
Aye.
But so I'll do a teleconsult with him if he takes up my case. But anyway, so what it looks like is what is probably going to be what's called a primary cough headache. So it's in that same category as migraines, cluster headaches, and then there's this thing called a primary cough headache, which is a headache that is induced by essentially coughing, or in my case, Valsalva maneuver. And if that's what the thing is, apparently it's quite treatable with a common non-steroidal anti-inflammatory.
Nice.
So fingers crossed that'll be what the outcome is. But
so far it sounds like it can be treatable at least.
Yeah, well, that's it. If you're right, Tilting. It was a bit of a thing. You're like, oh shit. Am I going to need to have some sort of surgery or thing? And the answer is yes. Well, it doesn't appear to be anything in there that would say that, or would indicate that that's a possibility. So, So it's really good to know that there's nothing funny going on in there that is likely to make my head explode and drop dead tomorrow. So yeah, but there was Tilting. There's a potential explanation that I was reading for what causes these type of headaches, and essentially it's something like what's called an what was the word? It's hyperemia. So it's reactive hyperemia. So hyper meaning high, emia meaning blood. So essentially, what happens is when you cut off or you reduce the blood supply to an area for a bit, and then you let it come back in again, it sometimes relaxes too much, and then you get this big flow of blood through the system, and that's what triggers the headache. Is this high flow? So it's not. It's a entirely benign issue, but yeah, it's bloody painful. So essentially, it's if I do this thing, like on Sunday after the stream last week, I went out and did some work in the garden and was getting rid of some palm leaves and the likes, and lifting a bit of this and that, and then come down with a headache from that adventure. So it could be worse. I also discovered there's a type of primary headache that is triggered by sexual experience. So essentially, some people, as they attempt to come up towards orgasm, they get a sudden crushing migraine comes on.
Ooh.
How terrible would that be?
Oh, that kills. Oh.
That is just appalling.
I knew a lass who had that.
Yeah, you're right there. You're about reach the pinnacle, and next thing you know, fuck!
Out of it, yeah. So years ago, my mother used to have cluster headaches. Actually, holy shit, that's cruel. So basically, for her, anytime she went, so cluster headaches are called that because they tend to cluster. They come on in waves. So you start to get a few, and then they're like an extreme migraine that lasts a really short period. And quite often they come on while you're asleep. So and they cluster together in. So you go through episodes of like a month, 2 months of this. So it starts to build, and so she would be having as many as 8 of these per night.
Oh.
So every time she put her head down to try and go to sleep, when she not off to sleep, she'd immediately get woken back up by this crushing head pain. It was absolutely cruel, and you couldn't take no painkillers seemed to have any effect upon it. So at the time, and then after about a month or 2 of putting up with this, it would start to fade away, and she'd have maybe 6 months without it doing it. So that's really cruel.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that type of sort of thing. So yeah, fingers crossed that that's what it turns out to be, and it's nice and treatable by this this sort of common medication. So yeah, so that's my fun story. Yes, I've had my head read twice. So
yeah,
I'd never had an MRI before.
Right, though, what you've looked up, because if your mum's had it, then you're having something similar.
Yeah, and I used to get migraines a lot. Well, used to get migraines a lot as a kid. So much so I've had ones where I woke up in the middle of the night, ran out, threw up over the railing, and yeah, that was how severe that one came on. Another time, I had a visual aura which covered the entire left side of my vision. Like I couldn't see anything out the left side of my vision. The whole thing turns silver, and you're like, this is going to be bad. And yeah, and I've had one
got a typical narrowing of the vision.
Yeah, well, I had.
Like, oh, that was horrible.
Yeah,
I've had migraines before, but never like that. I've had them so bad that I literally feel sick all throughout my body, and I have to lie down to the point where I can't get up and do anything.
Yeah,
I have to sleep the whole day just to let it till it passes.
Yeah, well, I had one maybe 20 years ago that had been going on for 2 days. It was just excruciating. And eventually I said to my now wife, like, I got to go up to the hospital, see if they can give me something for it. So anyhow, they helpfully went in the emergency, and they helpfully put me in on a gurney and stuck me in a room right underneath a bright light.
Ooh.
So that was real helpful of them. But yeah, while I was laying there for like half an hour or 40 minutes or something, waiting for the doctor to come and actually see me.
It feel like a eternity for you there, though.
Yeah, but partway through it, all of a sudden, there's like a switch had been turned off, and the pain just went, ooh, and went away. And while I was lying there, and I'm like, son of a bitch, I've been waiting for 2 days for this to happen, and now...
You finally get to the hospital to fix it, and now it's gone. Before you get that medicine.
Yeah, and now I'm lying here thinking, now what do? Do I say that the headache's gone and leave, or do I just let them jab me and then pretend it's gone and leave? And I decided on the second option, because I wimped out social anxiety, like, oh, he'll think there's something going on. So yeah, I got a jab of an opiate in the leg, and yeah, and then he got sent home. I'm like, the problem was the headache was gone before I got it.
And now you're full of opiates, so
yeah. So yeah, it's all a fun one. But these days, I quite often get the visual auras with only a very mild headache. So I think technically it's a migraine as well. But like I'll bend over, pick something up, stand up, and you get the little dots of sort of quicksilver zinging around in the visual field.
Oh, I get that every morning. So
yeah, but it only ever these days. It only ever turns into a mild headache. So I don't even bother sort of doing anything about it. Just ignore it. So yeah, but anyway, so yes, I do get that type of headache, the sort of primary headache thing. So yeah, that's the hope. That, what's going on? So, but anyhow, I'll fill you in when I find anything more. So, right. I don't know whether we wanted to go on to any of the fun stuff that's been happening on the AXP.
We could. I mean, there's always Flojo who's giving us a problem. So
yeah, Flojo, the big man.
Big manly man. I'll take on anybody. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but yes, unfortunately, yeah, you'll have to go down behind the shed and get started. And if I don't join you, I'll see you next time.
Yes, indeed.
So did you hear? I guess was it Justin from Deconstruction Zone? He's like a regular host now for the line.
Yes, he is now. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he's a good choice. That man knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, does he know his stuff?
With the Bible, yeah, of course. Ooh.
Yeah. Because Matt Dillahunty, he knew his stuff. But yeah, I think Deconstruction Zone, he knows more than Matt.
Yeah,
and that's impressive.
Yeah, Justin's more even keeled than Matt can be at times. Was at times. Because I remember Matt would, if he really got angry at somebody, he would just go straight off on him.
Matt just has anger issues. That was Matt's issue.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he does. And I think maybe it's because he's had 20 years of listening to the same shit.
Oh, that's true. I mean, he hears the same thing every day. You're gonna go nuts about it once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with Justin's thing, I think he just has like very specific things lined up in terms of countering, and he's pretty much focuses on Christians and their claims. But I'm actually like I would like to try to maybe get a hold of his cheat sheet, so maybe I'll like get a subscription. But I've been sort of using his. Not shtick, but his arguments about the, how Jesus hasn't fulfilled a single messianic prophecy, and I don't think I know the stuff where well enough where if I were to have like a direct conversation with someone like if we had someone on here, I don't think I could do all his arguments, obviously not the way he does, but. I just feel like, someone could come up with something to say, hey, what about this prophecy? And if it's some obscure one that Justin hasn't covered, I'm not sure if I would be confident enough to, call out why that's not a prophecy.
Yeah, you got nothing because there's, what is it? How many fulfilled prophecies? Over 300. Yeah. And you look at the fulfilled prophecies. Oh, even worse than the 300 fulfilled prophecies are the 50,000 links or whatever it is, cross references.
That hypertext thing is just so horrible.
Holy shit. You just go, so someone mentions the word grave in one,
Right.
passage, and then someone mentions the word grave in another. You go, that's a cross-reference. You go, no, it isn't.
One of the ridiculous ones that they bring up is the fact that on the cross he said, "Father, Father, why have you forsaken me?" thing. It's just
Well,
an
maybe.
allusion. Well, so first of all, it's just an allusion to a text that they knew, the authors of the Gospels knew, right?
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
right.
it's just you kind of, you just like quoting something doesn't mean that whatever was quoted was prophesizing you.
Yeah. That's the thing that to me, we've talked about it before with Jesus being born in Bethlehem with that story. That to me is a really solid piece of evidence that Jesus definitely existed and lived in and was known to his disciples as coming from Nazareth, because there's no reason for those two authors to invent this bizarre set of conditions to get him over to Bethlehem, except for them to attempt to fulfill this prophecy. But they couldn't just say, "Oh, he comes from Bethlehem," because his disciples and his followers knew he didn't. So they had to invent some story about how he was born there. But then he moved to Nazareth.
But it's something that was invented after Mark, right? So Mark
that's right.
had written this story and didn't mention anything about Bethlehem, but Matthew somehow felt the need to link him to Bethlehem directly.
Yeah, Matthew was super keen, and Matthew and Luke were all super keen on making sure, they scrolled through all of the Old Testament stuff to see any possible hint. And they go, "Oh, there's something about about Bethlehem. We better make a story that he came from Bethlehem."
And same thing with the virgin birth. Mark doesn't mention the virgin birth, neither does John, but both Matthew and Luke has to bring it up because probably Matthew misread, the Septuagint that said that, that translated the young girl into a virgin, right? Into Partheno or whatever the word is.
But it may well be also that it's a sort of a Greek influence too, because there are a number of other born of virgin sort of stories in various Greek mythology. So and a lot of the mindset which runs in through the New Testament comes from Greek thought.
Well, except that the Septuagint, specifically, mistranslates the young girl. That part of the quote unquote prophecy, where it's not even a messianic prophecy, but Matthew makes it into messianic prophecy.
Yeah, and he also mentions the Nazarene, which was a prophecy that is found nowhere. So he was super keen on making every prophecy, as many as he could, fulfilling them in his stories. So,
and I wonder what the count is, like in terms of the number of the 300, right, that the Christians say are prophecies. Of the 300, how many of them are linked to Matthew trying to make it a prophecy?
Yeah, there's a big heap of that, but there's also be a heap of them where it's just vacuous. Like, he will be a man. He is a man. Type stuff. It's as poor as that sort of thing. A whole heap of them will be as well.
Yeah, they're so simplistic.
I always have the Isaiah one though, because it's plainly obvious that they've not read Isaiah when they come up with it. I was like going, well, what does it say in the verse directly before and directly after? Oh, it's still talking about the same king of Babylon. I wonder who it's referring to then.
Context matters.
Yeah. But you atheists don't understand the context. Just ignore all the words around it and then make it linked to some other thing far away in another book and say, see, context. You just go, ooh. Usually context is the context of the words are found in, not in the words you find somewhere in some other part of the book.
Spoken by someone else entirely.
Yeah, as Dan McClellan puts it, it's assuming univocality And you just go.
Yep.
So then you can
Yeah.
make context out of everything, rather than having to worry about the context that's local. You can add context from everywhere and get any outcome you want. Actually, speaking of him,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say he did a video on Balaam and his
I know.
donkey.
I was going to bring that up.
Great
I
minds
saw that
think
like 2
alike.
days ago. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I saw that.
son of a
I
bitch.
get his shorts coming up now.
Yeah, I saw that there. I thought, oh, look at that. Someone's going to be unhappy.
Well, and what was good was like he added stuff obviously that I didn't know, right? Some of the kind of the context, right? Real context, the biblical context.
Yeah,
I don't
sort of deeper
remember.
layers.
Yeah. There are a couple points he raised where I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. Although he pronounces Balaam different, right? Well, I thought it was was it Balaam? How does he?
Balaam.
We were taught Balaam when I was growing up.
Is that how he
Yeah.
pronounced it? I don't remember.
Can't remember. No, I think he pronounced it differently.
He
He
calls
pronounced it
Balaam,
differently.
doesn't he?
Yeah,
Doesn't he say
he pronounced
Balaam?
it differently himself. So he said it one way at the beginning, and then he moved on to saying it a different way. So I think he mispronounced it himself at the beginning. So
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember now, but
yeah.
oh
Could be
yeah. So
Balaam.
what?
Yeah, that's the other one.
Oh yeah, I think that's what he was saying, Balaam.
Balaam. Yeah, that's
So-
the other pronunciation.
So the point that I liked that I was interested in when he mentioned was like how how when God essentially gave Balaam's permission to go and basically you can go, and then like a verse later it says God is angry that he went, and
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and he was postulating that maybe there was like some kind of an edit that was done where or there was like something more in between that got taken out, because it is like completely nonsensical, right? It doesn't make sense.
A complete non sequitur.
Yeah, you must do this. All right, I'll go and do it. Oh, now you've got the shits with me for doing it. And sent his angel, or maybe it wasn't his angel, to stand in the path to murder him for doing the thing he was told to do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe it wasn't his angel.
Yeah, and the analysis I liked is that it may very possibly have been at the beginning. It wasn't an angel; it was God Himself, right? But then they kind of later changed it into an angel.
Yeah, it may well have been God, and it just takes one additional word to make it from God to the angel of God.
But and also that, and I should have looked it up, but basically that angel, the adversary, the word that's used is Satan.
Satan, yeah, the adversary.
Yeah.
So in that case, God is calling himself Satan, or he sent a Satan down to murder the guy he told to do a thing for doing the thing he told him to do.
Right.
You go, hey, good work.
Good work.
Yeah, that's what you call omniscient.
Yeah.
He can't even remember what he told him. It's a little bit like what I say about the complaints of, the omniscient God forgot that he made the entire universe, forgot that the earth wasn't flat. Completely forgot the shape of the earth or what the sky's made of. And then, made a book that gets all of that wrong. You just go, he's not very good. And he's not very omnipresent either if he can't look and see that the earth isn't flat. It's almost as if his visual field is exactly that of a human. So, yeah, it was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like the stuff that he's putting out, especially a lot of the stuff where he talks about where, he kind of criticizes people for basically using the Bible to, essentially justify their prejudices.
I mean, like we had to discuss this already last week about careful with the wording of how the Bible is. Like oh man, I lost train of thought now. How from one version translation to another, how it changes. And is that really the true Bible? Just because does the words actually mean what they're supposed to mean?
Yeah, it is really difficult because it's hard enough to go from Middle English to English and understand exactly what it's coming from, or French to English. You've got words that don't quite translate.
Of course. Yes.
So go from a language which doesn't even have the same Latin roots. There's no, the common roots for the language go back thousands of years before it got split away, and then and have put 2,000 years between these words, and you go, yeah, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, that's true.
There's also the fact that older religions were less reliant on actual scripture, and it was all, mostly more ritual and
because it was definitely more political back then, because that was how they ran the government, so to speak, through their religion.
It's easier to get the populace on side if you let them
yes.
bit,
Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's something a bit weird. I just posted, that's the link that I put up for the video about Balaam. But it posted it as QC, being, I guess, the admin. So I'm posting you QC, so anything I say that's stupid, I'll blame you.
Oh, wait, so it came up as me, you're saying?
Yes, it did.
Yeah,
that's right down there.
Yeah, I just looked and go, what? And then I look here and it's got a picture of you next to post a comment. I'm like,
you're in complete control now.
Oh, yeah. I could run amok.
Actually, let's talk about this. So I didn't get a chance to set this up, but to kind of get an increase in the number of simultaneous users, I was thinking of using OBS, but as I said in the email, we need you guys to connect in through Google Meet. And I did get one response of someone saying that they don't want their like email showing up. So I guess I'll have to like test out Google Meet in terms of what shows up on the stream, like not just on the stream but to others.
Yeah, maybe do like a test stream sometime during the middle of the week when we all get together.
Yeah, a little hidden test stream or something that doesn't go up on the channel.
Yeah, so I can do that. But the other thing is, even if it shows up, it's actually not too hard to just like create a separate account. And like, for example, the account that I use to send out my email, it's not my regular account. It's just the account that I use that's tied to this and also tied to my Twitter. But my personal account isn't.
Yeah.
So worst comes to worst, if you don't want your email to show up, that's one thing you could do.
Yeah. That said, I know when we've got 6 people on up on the stream, that's really pushing how many it needs to be there. It becomes really difficult to understand and the likes, and so I don't know that it would actually improve the situation if we had the capability of having, say, 10 people up. It might just make it more
chaotic.
People talking over each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I think a lot of times you could have more than 6 people on, but there may be just like depending on the different topics, you may have sort of different set of people who are talking. So not everyone needs to be like constantly talking.
Yeah. We probably got to set up a system to where only certain people talk at certain times depending on the topic at hand and all that.
I was just thinking maybe the way you've been doing it, where someone pops down into the out the back, and you can still make your comments into the live chat if you want to make a comment there. But that seems to work quite well. I don't mind.
Yeah, one of the good things about StreamYard is it's relatively easy to use.
Sorry.
Sorry.
It had to be said.
That had to be chuckling. I know exactly
I don't
what
know.
you'd seen when you started laughing.
I don't know. Can you see the screen? QC?
Yeah, I've stopped so I can see it. So.
Okay. Yeah. Hashtag mute, John.
So I I'm sure John won't take it too badly, but
Yeah.
he did get heated, right?
Yes,
during
he did.
during
He
the
always
call.
does. Yeah, he
Yeah.
does.
When he gets something that he's passionate about, he will fire off at rapid speed.
Yeah. Yeah, he is he's a passionate fellow, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I guarantee John knows himself well enough to know that is an entirely appropriate comment there, Tilting. He seems to have enough self-awareness to know he gets
Oh,
heated.
he admitted it last week.
Oh yeah, always. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wouldn't be offended even in the slightest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I mean, I definitely want this channel to be something where, when someone comes on, that they don't feel like they're being attacked, as long as they're behaving, right? So, and that's because, like, whenever I challenge some of these deists to come on, they're just like really scared, because I mean, I think some of it is those guys probably haven't ever actually talked to a real person and had a discussion about these things, right? And to be fair, before I set this up, I hadn't either, right? At least not to kind of this level.
Yeah.
I think in real life, when you talk to people about religion, you're going to try to be diplomatic, and you're not going to go into any contentious discussions. But here, even if you're civil, whether you're civil or not, you want to really push people. So when they say some of the things that Jay said, I mean, that was just like really stupid.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and I think just like calling it out. I mean, to the point where I think some of it was just very dishonest, right? Or he just wasn't getting the point.
I mean, the whole discussion about the firmament was proof positive of that.
Yeah, just come on. He was, when we were like trying to get him to say whether he was a flat earther or not.
Oh, he just
if you're not a flat earther, you're not going to respond that way. You're just gonna say no, I'm not a flat earther. But I mean, it's just, yeah, that part was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was hilarious. We have Eric Masses joined us. G'day, Eric. If you wanted, we've been doing a little bit of a run of some of the verses in the Bible that are a bit messed up. Yeah, and we haven't had Ook do his yet. But I said I'd be happy to jump in and do Numbers 5, because there's some, which is the ritual of bitter water, and have a discussion about that, about the abortion that's in the Bible that a lot of religious people really like to glom onto the KJV because it's entirely hidden in the language there. But so yeah, did we want to talk about that?
Can you like share like okay, yeah, if you can put up the verses and stuff.
Yeah, I'll do that. Sure.
Which one is it? Numbers what?
Numbers 31.
30, okay.
Yeah.
30? Okay.
Let me share screen.
Which one? Is it 30 or 31 again?
Hang on. Where did I put the thing? Oh, there it is. No, sorry, Numbers 5. Wrong one. Numbers 31 is the...
I was going to say, so that's Midianites.
So, yeah, Numbers 31 is the Midianites, yeah.
Oh, by the way, I had someone who was trying to make the argument that God commanded the destruction of the Amalekites because of that they did child sacrifices, right? So when I pointed out, they didn't commit child sacrifices. There is some, I guess, backing to say that the Canaanites did, atrocious things, child sacrifices, but they're not the same. But he went on and to try to say, well, they're from the Canaanite region, so essentially they are guilty of having committed child sacrifices. I mean, it was just like so dishonest. And when these guys say that, oh, you don't know the Bible, I mean, that's what becomes just laughable.
Yeah, well, the Israelites are the Canaanites.
Well, that's the thing. And I said that they came out of the Canaanite region, or
they were Canaanites. They were an offshoot of them.
Yeah,
yes,
right. They came out of that group.
And then let's not forget the child sacrifice of Jephthah's daughter.
Yeah.
So, when it always gets me, it's like, okay, so your God is saying that in order to punish a group of people for committing child sacrifices is to kill all the children. I mean,
make it make sense.
It's like, well,
magic. That's what they call it.
It's like in order to punish.
Not all of them all the time. Sometimes you get to take some of them home and throw them in your bed with you.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. That's true.
But it's kind of like saying in order to punish someone for being a drug addict, it's to do all their drugs.
Yeah.
I can imagine. No, I can't. No, I can't.
I mean, it's so hilarious, some of these things. And the thing is, like, they'll say stuff like that and they'll say, well, you don't know the Bible, right? You don't have the right context.
Again, context matters, people.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we're all reasonably familiar with with this. This is the NRSVU version of the this is concerning an unfaithful wife, but it's also called the Ritual of the Bitter Water. And essentially,
UK censorship again.
Yeah. So essentially, the person, the spirit of jealousy, comes on the husband. So basically, it's saying that there's no evidence that she slept with anyone because it's just based upon his jealousy. If he had evidence that she committed adultery, the punishment is to be stoned to death. So he cannot have evidence that she did. But it makes sense that the evidence that he might have is that she became pregnant and at a time when he maybe was away. So he suspects her pregnancy. Because why else would you suspect she's having an affair? But anyhow, he drags her before the priest, and they make a potion. So to take holy water, add some dust that's on the floor of the tabernacle, and put it into the water, and make a grain offering and all the rest of that. And then they've got the water of bitterness that brings the curse. Then they make an oath and sort of make the oath again, and then she's required to drink it. And so in this particular version, they've got it'll make your womb discharge and your uterus drop. So essentially, it's obvious that it's a miscarriage or a forced abortion. It'll make your womb discharge. In the KJV version, it's a lot. It makes your thigh rot. What does that mean? So
the KJV loves the thigh, doesn't it?
Yes, it basically uses that as a euphemism for lady spits and things, because the KJV won't mention lady stuff.
Well, I wonder, is that maybe coming from the Hebrew as well?
There is euphemism in the Hebrew as well, so it's euphemistic as well. There's no doubt about that, but it's obvious what's going on in this particular one. But now here's the thing which I think is quite interesting. So we've got all of that. It's clear that this is an abortion, and it's an abortion that's being performed by a priest with the help of of God. So she's brought before the Lord and bring her to the altar. Now that's also an interesting thing, because how do you get brought before the Lord? And I think the answer to that is that back in so this is a very old, almost certainly a very old ritual. It comes from a long way back, at a time when they used to have statues. So adultery was a standard part of the faith. You'd have an image. There was also a tree trunk, which was Asherah, God's wife, was also found in these tabernacles. That would be the icon of Asherah, and then there'd be an icon of God, and they had this assumption that the Spirit of God would imbue in these icons. So that's her being brought before God in this case, and so she would do this. Now, what's the interesting question about this is what is actually happening in this verse. So there's a couple of different ways you could look at it. One is that it's some magical ritual, and essentially God, goes and does that. They do this, and then God intervenes and makes the decision, which is what it seems to be implying. Another version is that it's what's essentially a challenge, or a how do they put the term, that it could be an ordeal. So she's being put before this ordeal, and in that she confesses it comes that way. But there's a curious third option, and I'll move over to a paper. I'll share, remove that one, and then I'll share this. Hang on, come back here. Share that. And add to stage. There we go. Yeah. Now this is a paper from the Journal for the Study of the Old Testament. How about that? A peer-reviewed theology journal.
Really?
Yeah. So those things exist. So whenever Dan McClellan's talking about, scholarly consensus, they get published in things like this. They genuinely have. So there's a lot of different ways you can study the Bible, and this is, a bit of. This one's an interesting one. So this is talking about the Kenite origin of the Sotar prescription, which is the ritual of the bitter water. It's a very interesting one. So Department of Bible Archaeology and Near East in Israel. So these are Jewish Bible scholars looking at this particular thing. And so one of the things they talk about is, come down here. So it's, so it could be a magic ritual, that's what's happening, that it's a magic ritual, or that it was the ordeal. None of these sort of work, or that it's psychosomatic effects that cause the things that the woman experiences. But that also seems a bit weird. And then they move on to this one. Now, I thought this was one of the most interesting things I'd come across. The meaning of this, can we see that word? Which is the word that is translated as dust. So remember, I was reading, it said you take the dust off the floor of the tabernacle and add it to the water. If you think about that, dust is not going to make a person miscarry. It's going to make it taste dusty. That's about it.
Yeah.
But this is a curiosity, because this word in Hebrew means soil, earth of the grave, mortar, debris, ashes, even dirt. But over in Job, there's a line that says that iron is extracted from this, and from the rock is poured copper. So in that version, the word is that here is translated as dust is translated as ore, and they go on to talk about that the Kenites had smelting was a part of the biblical. It's not a biblical of the religious practice of the people. Very specifically, copper, gold, and silver smelting, but not iron smelting, was part of it. And this was a practice that was performed in the tabernacles, in the themselves, as part of the religious practice. So what they're saying is that the word there, which is translated as dust, could well mean ore that's found on the floor of the tabernacle. And they go into quite some reason, a lot of discussion about where this metallic ore would be. But what's important to note is that copper sulfate will have all of the effects. So if you drink a liquid, drink a potion essentially containing copper sulfate, it will have the effects that are described in the in Numbers 5. It will cause a spontaneous miscarriage. It will cause all sorts of discomforts and pain, and it'll make the person throw up. It doesn't necessarily taste bitter, but when you hurl up, the result is bitter. So it's the water that brings the bitterness, not necessarily that the water itself is bitter. And so that's what they're saying, that it's describing the person, becoming ill and throwing up, and that brings the bitterness. It's also extremely dangerous to the woman, but as we know, in these sort of times, the woman was just chattel. So it was she was less important. So if that side effect happened, that would be the result. So what you essentially have here is the priest hears the story of the husband, and then he makes the decision. So if he thinks, oh no, it doesn't sound like the husband's right, he could get a handful of dirt that doesn't look particularly blue and make the potion out of that, and the woman would be fine. Or if he decided that she's guilty, he gets some dirt off the floor that contains more of the blue dust, the copper sulfate, salts that are in the just lying around on the floor of the tabernacle, and puts that into it, and that will cause the effects that are described. It was also apparently known by the Greeks at the time, so there is mention of it in the Greeks, in Greek literature, that copper salts would have this effect. So it was something that was known in that location at that time. So I thought that's a very interesting way of looking at this particular thing, that it should be potentially described as ore rather than dust. And then everything that's described will follow and make sense.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That is interesting.
Yeah, but how about that? I even managed to find a peer-reviewed Bible paper. So, and not an apologist, not in one of those apologist bullshit things like the Discovery Institute's journal. So these are yeah.
These are actually people that actually study for history and science for.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They've studied the archaeology, and they've studied the languages and the all the rest of that to try and understand the context of what they're looking at. That's what they're really trying to do. And yeah, if you're trying to pretend that this doesn't matter, you would never study this particular thing. The apologists never touch it. They just basically say, oh no, it's not that. It's not a thing. It's just basically makes her barren. It's
just
not
your opinion. Just your opinion.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're talking about.
So when I argue about this as well, I've got essentially a standard sort of a comment where I look through the Bible at the various points, and every time you say, well, look, the Bible doesn't prescribe abortion, it doesn't. This is the only place that abortion's mentioned, and the closest it gets anywhere else is the rule about when two men are fighting, and a woman is struck.
Oh yeah.
And delivers the child. That one, they try to take it out of context and say, well, it's eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, if something happens to the baby. And you're just like, no, that's not how they understood things. So we're applying this this idea of a premature child, but that wasn't a concept that even existed in this time. Either the child was born and breathed by itself, or the child was born and didn't. And if it was born and didn't, it didn't have a soul. It was never ensouled, because the word soul literally means breath. It was never a breathing creature, so it never had a soul.
Yeah.
So, a premature birth is not something that could have even possibly been on the radar, because it wasn't understood. These days, we know it's possible to, get a baby that is, potentially even months early to survive, but it wouldn't have been possible in that era. The kid either died or lived. So yes, and in that case, the person has to pay a fine. So the baby is definitely treated in exactly the same way as if you'd killed someone's cow. It's property. Yeah, it's property of the husband. What happens to the woman is only treated as. So there's the eye for an eye punishment if she gets injured, and then the payment of a fine for what happens with the birth. So that's the only other place that it's mentioned. And then they'll go and say, oh, but then there's the "I knew you in the womb" type comments.
Oh yeah.
So and you just go, well, let's have a look at the context of those verses, and immediately it's apparent that the context of that verse is that it's God talking about omniscience. It's talking about God's omniscience. He knew everything that the person was going to do even before he created him. They also use this quite often as argument that that the moment of conception is the moment of that you become a person, but that actually doesn't make any logical sense, because the thing is, I knew you before you were in the womb. You just go, well, that means he was a person before the parents even rooted. So before conception, and you go, well, how does that work? So, it doesn't make any logical sense. But yes, they're just talking about them. There is another argument in which Mary Magdalene is talking to Mary, and I can't remember what verse this is, but essentially when Mary walks in, the baby in Mary Magdalene jumps. That's a stronger argument, but still not a good one, because of the issue with the idea that the soul is part of breath. Though, admittedly, by the time that verse was written, they were starting to argue over that. There's a couple of different views by that stage that had started to leak in from Greek thought, not from and so you've got the idea that it began at conception is one group of Greeks think that. Another one thinks that it began at birth, and then the Aristotelian view is that it began at the quickening, that it was ensouled at the quickening, at the point where the baby begins to kick, and you can detect, a living something in there. That's the quickening, and that's the other point. And it wasn't until the 4th century, I think, AD, that essentially the church settled on that idea of the quickening as the point at which it did that. And then it was like that all the way through until the 19th, 20th century, early 20th century. And then there was some start of the movement to move it back to conception, but it wasn't really until the 1970s, that that movement really pushed, and it was part of the Jerry Falwell thing of trying to.
It's also why the abortion limit was first set as well, because that was the quickening was when you weren't supposed to.
Sorry,
before the medical thing about how many weeks was the fetus.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. But,
that one
was if there's been a quickening, you can't.
Yeah, and that's
well. I mean, just in the U.S., the evangelicals were perfectly fine with abortion, with pro-choice, and then all of a sudden, when they needed some political power so that they can stay, when the Southern Baptists, so that they can become or stay racist, and also keep their tax exemption, that's when all of a sudden they came up with abortion as a wedge issue.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's the Jerry Falwell, and actually might have been another Dan McClellan video talking about that. About in the last couple of days too, he was talking about it. So, yeah, but yeah, I thought that would be an interesting little verse to add to talk about copper sulfate as the missing piece of what's happening in that particular verse. So,
yeah, because that verse never made sense to me at all.
Oh, it doesn't. And look, it may not be true that this is the case. That maybe it doesn't mean that, but it certainly explains potentially where this came from, because there's no evidence that anyone ever did the ritual. There's no mention that this ritual was ever performed by anyone in any literature anywhere. It's a really strange thing.
Yeah, it is.
So
that's actually applying scrutiny to actual biblical literature.
Yeah. And it would make sense that if anyone tried it in the modern era, having forgot that smelting was part of the religious practice of the time where this was originally written, it wouldn't do a damn thing. It's about as effective as voodoo stabbing a doll with a needle. Just doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think ergot was the other explanation, wasn't it?
That is a possibility, yeah. It would be a strange one, though.
No, it's what I like the copper sulfate one. It makes more sense.
Yeah.
Here's a curiosity about ergot. Humans are more immune to ergot than pretty well any other species.
Really?
Yeah. And it makes a lot of sense because, we've had many, many thousands of years eating grain that has been stored.
Yeah.
It's we would have experienced it so much that if we were really the people who were really susceptible to it were killed off by it. So and those who were quite resistant to it got to breed and got to eat more food.
That's true. Evolution, adaptation, added right there for people.
Yeah. Whereas, where you usually think that humans are a bit sensitive, and you can give stuff to dogs, and they can handle just about anything, and you wouldn't eat it yourself. But yeah, they're much more likely to die from ergot than we are.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And it makes a lot of sense. It's basically the same reason that the mutation that allows people to drink milk outside of being a baby exists, because and there's actually there's multiple mutations that cause it, but it's so useful, lactose tolerance, that we get that. And we also have mutations with the ability to produce amylase in our saliva. So dogs and, for example, I think only have one copy of the gene that produces amylase. Humans have up to like a dozen copies of that gene, and we produce a lot of amylase. So in our saliva, which makes a lot of sense because again we've been eating grain for a long time, so the ability to digest it efficiently when we get a replication of that gene makes that person healthier.
Interesting.
In a very long time.
It'll make like bread more sweet because you're breaking up those bonds, and maybe does it get converted to glucose or what?
Yeah, that's it. Because the carbohydrate starch is just a long chain polymer of glucose.
Yeah. So I wonder if it'll taste sweeter if you have more copy of those genes. So if you had like some mutation where you didn't generate those enzymes in your saliva, that maybe bread wouldn't taste so good.
I don't know how quick it breaks those bonds to glucose itself. So if it's starting to shatter the bonds and breaks 1,000 chain down to pieces that are 50 long or something by the time it exits your mouth, maybe that hasn't changed the flavor appreciably.
But that might be.
Yeah, I don't know how much is converted straight to glucose by the time it's exited the mouth. But that's exactly what it's doing. The equivalent over in you can also get chains of fructose. And for example, does everyone know what a Jerusalem artichoke is?
I honestly say I haven't heard of that.
It looks a bit like a ginger root. It's a rhizome.
Okay.
But it can be used.
What I call the sunflower potato.
Yes, that would be exactly right because they do come from sunflowers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they are able to be used in place of potato. So, except in that one, they store most of the energy as fructose in the form of inulin, which is essentially what you get when you make long chains of fructose. You get inulin. If you make long chains of glucose, you get carbohydrate.
Okay.
So, and we do not have a fructose equivalent of amylase. So as a result, that's why if you eat a lot of that particular sunflower potato, it makes you fart a lot because the bacteria in your gut, they do like it.
Oh. So if you want to ruin somebody's day, eat a lot of that.
Yeah. The thing which is nice about it, though, is that unlike potato, it's perfectly palatable raw.
Oh.
It's quite nice. It's crunchy and delicious.
It's considered better than potato to a lot of gardeners who basically, because potato is so susceptible to all these molds and mildews.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas the Jerusalem artichoke, you can basically grow it for years and you're not bothered.
Yeah. Also, hilariously, it's not from Jerusalem and it's not an artichoke. So
it's from the Italian for sunflower, isn't it?
Probably.
Girasole.
Yeah. But it's definitely a member of the sunflower family. So
I don't know where the artichoke bit comes from, though.
Yeah, don't know. But that is hilarious that it's not even in any way related to what otherwise called a globe artichoke, which is related to a Scotch thistle.
Ah.
So the Scottish national flower is in that same. That thistle is the same basic structure as a globe artichoke.
Also, Rocky Mountain oysters are not oysters.
Well, I don't know. Put them in your mouth and gargle them.
I lived on the coast, the Gulf Coast, so I know what oysters are. So,
I cannot hack oysters. I can eat just about anything, but for me, an oyster is basically what you get. If I wanted to eat an oyster, I'd just get a bit of fish sauce, squirt that in my mouth, and then go.
Oh, I had family that
The
actually went out
texture and the
there.
flavor are about right.
Yeah, I can't stand oysters either.
I mean, I had family out that go out there and actually harvest oysters and actually, open them up and eat them raw in front of me.
Yeah. I don't mind the little smoked ones. They're all right. The little cooked smoked ones. But
It's different when it's cooked, that's for sure.
Yeah. But yeah. Oh, horrible. Anyway.
I'm suddenly reminded of Welking. Well, something they used to do back in the day is, you go along the shores and dig out all the whelks from the beach and eat them. You need a little pen so you can grab the bit of whelk out and eat it raw. Can't do that now,
Yeah.
of course.
Did you, Neil? Did you ever see the 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown episode where Sean Locke brought along whelks?
Yeah, that's
to
brilliant.
eat. That was one of the funniest things. That skit went really badly wrong for him.
Yeah,
because he was
You
forced
could
to
just
eat
see
the
him
whole lot.
going, I'm regretting this. Why did
So
I?
very good. Can I, out of that also, can I recommend everyone? I'll find the link and put it up. But have a look for the 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown skit where a fellow by the name of Joe Wilkinson reads his poem called "Hanging About in a Train Station, Naming People's Willies."
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that sounds interesting right there.
That may be one of the funniest fucking things I've ever heard in my life. I've watched it a dozen times at least, and it always just about makes me cry with laughter.
For context, basically in Dictionary Corner, they've got a poet in. And so he got them to write a poem, each of them to write a poem to get points. And Joe Wilkinson brought out that one, and it was just people were pissing themselves.
They were crying. Everyone was crying. They were laughing so hard. And there's also the episode where
is this the Viking helmet one?
The Viking helmet one. Yeah, well, that's that's a tough wank.
Anytime you add Viking helmets at any skit, it's funny.
It's the hot numbers chick in a skin tight dress. Rachel Riley, smoking hot genius chick, in a skin tight dress, and then she puts his Viking helmet and beard on.
Yeah.
And Sean Locke looks over and he goes, "Wow, that's a tough wank." And everyone's got tears rolling down their eyes. Even Rachel is just losing her mind over that. Is so funny. But him talking about the time he went seal clubbing with hobnail boots and it was like a trolley dash. Yeah.
Oh, Sean Locke is amazing. I do miss that guy.
Yeah, poor fella. He it was lung cancer, I think, wasn't it?
Oh,
got him.
Cancer or something, anyway.
Yeah, I think it was lung cancer because he was a smoker. So, but it is such a shame. He was a funny guy. But yes, he is rectum of the year thing, and the woman sitting next to him, she's crying and banging the desk, telling him, "Please make him stop."
Oh, I want to see that. I want to see that now.
All right,
seriously, look up all these.
I'll post up some links to them.
Find the links and put some up.
They are on YouTube. They are definitely there. There are like Joe Wilkinson. He's a fucking madman. He's absolute lunatic. That fella as well. His how you doing, Joe? You taking the piss? And it just gives the host the fingers, and he's like walks in with a bear, and all torn up. He's so strange.
He lent into the man off the street kind of. So nice, so well. But he's deadpan. He's just got deadpan. Oh.
Yeah.
Where's Sean Locke? You can occasionally see him like chuckle slightly to himself as he's about to say something.
Yeah.
Joe Wilkinson would just say it like it's like
how the hell?
And his just for something really weird on that show, you know, they do scantily clad women that bring out and show you you know, here's the prize, and it's a scantily clad woman pointing at it. They have a guy that they call Fabio, who's fit, and he only ever gets to wear a pair of short underpants. So that's this Fabio, but this running joke that Fabio's Joe Wilkinson's half brother, good to look at but thick as pig shit.
The thing is, it was meant as a one-time joke, and this guy now has his career of basically.
Yeah. What's weird is he doesn't even have his name in the credits.
No. Well, he might have his name somewhere.
No, they're not
Fabio,
there.
obviously.
Yeah, it's not Fabio. You can find his name on the internet. I have, and at one point, but his name is not there. I've looked for it. It just after all the years he's been doing the show, as a part of the show, every time he's never listed.
Oh.
But so I don't know whether that's a decision he made or not. But yes, he deadpans. He's not allowed to smile about anything. He just plays this character of a stupid brother. There's a photo of him once. They're doing this Bannister skit as an intro, and so it's Fabio's Bannisters, and he's got a poster of him with a boner sticking out the front of his pants, or at least that's what it's been thing. And Joe Wilkins go, I told him don't have an erection, and that set off the thing. They were all crying with laughter over that too. Fabio's don't have an erection, and he's got to stand there and not laugh.
Oh, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, there's a picture of him wearing his pants with an erection, and a person screaming at him saying, "I told you not to have an erection."
I mean, I couldn't do it in that situation.
So, yeah, I'll post that up, but I don't know if we should probably call it a thing. We're over time.
All right. It's that. Can you post that link, Blarg? You said what was that link you were talking about? Shoot, now
to the one about Balaam.
No, the other one. Shoot. I just lost my train of thought.
For the
paper.
The copper sulfate thing.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You said there was like some study.
Yes, I'll post that up as well. Yep, the one that I was showing you, the Kenite origin of the Sotus prescription is what it's called.
Cool.
By
All
Mazalag.
right.
Oh, before we go, I'm sorry, Q. I didn't mean to cut you off. I do want to make a recommendation for next week, and this is personal to me. My family was affected by Hurricane Katrina 20 years ago, and Friday would be the 20th anniversary. I kind of want to, at least for a short time, talk about it, about what I went through and all that, because I want to remember those people that suffered through all that. Because that was personally affect me in every which way, and I feel I want to at least talk about that.
Yep. No, that sounds good. So we'll have you start with that.
Oh,
I'll have that other guy come on. The one that wanted me to challenge my beliefs, even ones that he agrees with. But hopefully he'll have stuff, other stuff that he doesn't agree with me on. But yeah, I'll bring him on. And I might have another person as well, but we'll see. I mean, I can push him off to another time. So yeah, so now that we have Blarg on as the admin, he can start the stream. Even if something
goes, if something goes pear shaped, how that works.
Yeah,
we at least have a secondary case.
Yep. Yeah. Unfortunately, I can only assign one person. And before initially, when this whole thing started, I had put John as the co-host, and I think like you, Blarg, he didn't see the email for him to acknowledge it, and I had actually completely forgotten about it until just now. So
yeah, that's all right. We got it sorted.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming on. Thanks, Tilting, for your comments. And thanks for everyone else in the live stream. Yep. And wasn't Tuna Man on as well? I thought I
yes,
saw
that's
it.
right. Tuna Man is here.
He just hasn't talked in a while.
Yeah, he's been a little quiet.
All right. All right. Well, thanks, guys. And we will talk to you next week.
Good night, all.
All right. Good night.
all.
Bye.